kidding. I'm Wayne Hampton Holland III. I go to Disneyland rather often, and I wear polo shirts and high-waisted pleated slacks rather often. It's all very fascinating. And I play the piano and saxophone, the bagpipe. I invest because I have a degree in finance. Modesty keeps me quiet. I'm the financial director of A Dead Rabbit. I try to figure out what the break-even is as far as how many tickets we need to sell and keep track of where the money is coming from and that sort of thing. I was never really in theater except for when I wrote a show called Mayhem of the Manor with David Wright and Benji Kaufman. And we produced it at Moorpark College in 2010, the summer of 2010. It was a murder mystery musical comedy. And it was very fun, very exciting. It was grand because it's more exciting than going to a movie. You actually see people on stage and you can see them emote, which you don't necessarily get in the movie. Well, I think it can change your mind more than other forms of art can, because there's a human element to it. In movies or in artwork, they're grand and they're great, but it's already been done. That someone has meticulously designed it and put it together, and there's a lot of meticulous design in theater and in live theater, but it's all live. It's there. Anything can happen. And if someone messes up a line, then you have to play it off as if nothing happened, and I think that's rather exciting. The theater today is so commercialized, and it's rather monopolized by the commercial theaters, the large commercial theaters, and it's really a pity because they pander to audiences many times, and so it's important to patronize and support small growing theater companies and their productions that they put on, such as A Dead Rabbit and 48-hour productions. Without that, if you don't support the small theaters, then a whole aspect of the arts world is sort of dissolved and cheapened because it's all commercial, even though I love commercial theater as well, but it's not quite the same. Well, they're wonderful people. They have the highest technology and they love ferns. Well, they're very organized, very impressive, and really dedicated to putting on a show and putting on everything else to raise money to put on a show, which I've never seen. Putting on a gala and all these other events and making documentary-style interviews is very impressive in my opinion. I never see that. When I put on my show, we didn't do anything like that. We were very lazy in comparison. Modern theater, to my chagrin, is, well, it's modern. I personally like vintage shows. I like old-fashioned musicals. And I think that we've run out of those. However, there is a bit of a hint of hope at the end of the tunnel with revivals on Broadway, at least, in the commercial world, of Cinderella, and eventually they're doing The King and I, and they're also making new shows, such as Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, which sounds amazing. But in general, theater, I think, as I said before, is pandering to the audience. When they make these adaptations of old movies from the 80s that were big successes into musicals, it's just sort of depressing. I saw Ghost the musical, and that was the worst show I've ever seen. It really was. But I think there's more hope than that. I think that there are institutions and there are young theater companies like yourselves and like others that are revitalizing regional theater, and eventually will grow, hopefully, to revitalize commercial theater and the larger theater realm. Well, ferns are fascinating objects. See these yellow streaks? Well, when they're not painted in on plastic leaves, it really means it's virus. My favorite composer is Cole Porter, because he's witty and urbane, and his music is just absolute best. It's the Tops. And those are my closing remarks.